Good morning to the New York basketball Knicks. This is the Drake Toll Show. Westwood One Sports, the Westwood One Sports app. And this may be the first day of the rest of our lives. You woke up today. The miracle of sentience hit you in the face again. You woke up in Addison, Texas. The far end. We're getting aggressively close to Oklahoma at that point. And you said, today's the day. Today is the first day of your brand new job. And you're going to get into the car, you're going to drive to the gym, you're going to get ready at the gym, you're going to go to the first day of your brand new job. You've been there. We've all been there. We've all had that moment in life where you wake up early that first day and you feel it, you're giddy. Now, of course, in 3 weeks, they'll take your soul. All that glitters isn't gold, right? I mean, it's just, that's how it goes. But for today, for day one at your new job, you're ready. And it is my distinct honor to be on the radio with you, walking you through the biggest day in your career. This is the moment. You've finally found the gig that you're going to love. Good morning. This is the Drake Toll Show. Drake Toll with you from the Savannah Bananas organization and Locked On Big 12. Addie Bates produces out of Washington, D.C. Curtis Poindexter runs the board in Santa Monica, California. I'm coming to you from the Battery in Atlanta, Georgia, where the Savannah Bananas and the Party Animals will sell out 3 contests at Truist Park, the home of the Braves, this weekend. And I approach you today in this show, my friend from Richardson, Texas, to say that I'm gonna go grab the guy. I'm gonna grab Chris from Queens, New York, and Chris and I are going to have a conversation for a second here. And I want you to sit down. I want to invite you into that conversation, to listen in, to watch, because I have news for Chris from the Bronx. I have news for Chris from Queens, Chris from Manhattan. They're here. It's real. It's going to happen. The New York Knicks are going to the NBA Finals. I gave you yesterday, man, it would be tough to listen. I mean, you're listening to the full 3 hours of a radio show. It'd be hard, right? Maybe you do it. Because on the Westwood One Sports app, you can download that app and listen to the entire show, or you can watch it live on YouTube or Twitter. But you might not have been there yesterday when I ragged on Kendrick Perkins for his take that the Spurs were out of the series against the T-Wolves after a tight Game 1 loss, and that the series was over, that Minnesota had gotten it on lock and in the bag. Well, last night the Spurs went up by as many as 47 points on the Timberwolves. I called Kendrick Perkins our idiot of the day yesterday for that take. The same idiot of the day you get every day at 8 a.m. on the Drake Toll Show. And you know what? I called him that because I thought his take was so idiotic. But I'm going to give you one that I can back up, and that I'm going to back up. The New York Knicks are going to the NBA title. They are 6 wins away from that mark. But they are going to the NBA title. The way that Detroit is playing right now, the inconsistent way that Detroit is playing right now, hell, Cleveland could win that series. The way the Sixers have been banged up last night in a back-and-forth game where Jalen Brunson was neutralized, where I thought the Sixers did a better job of guarding Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns was unstoppable. And for the moments that Paul George turned back the clock and looked young, there were the uncharacteristic moments where Paul George hurt the 76ers in a 108-102 loss for Philadelphia. And in that 108-102 loss, what we have now seen, historic blowouts from the Knicks to win games. And the second we go from historic blowout into nitty-gritty basketball, where you're only going to score 47 points in the second half combined. When you ask the Knicks to win like that, what do? They win a basketball game. When you say New York, we're going to, in a contest where you enter the fourth quarter, listen to this. This is when you go to the water cooler today and your friends ask you, how on earth do you know everything there is to know about NBA playoff basketball? You didn't stay up that late. I couldn't stay up that late. How do you know? This is how you know. This is your recap. Last night, this is the number, this is the stat you bring to the table. Last night, the Knicks entered the fourth quarter trailing the basketball game by a point. And the Knicks scored 19, a measly 19 points in the fourth quarter. Did you hear that? The Knicks were losing the contest going into the fourth quarter and still only scored 19 points in the fourth quarter, yet won the game by 6? Yeah. The 76ers were held to 12 points in the final frame. 12 points in the final frame. The Knicks outscored the Sixers 19-12 in the fourth quarter of an NBA postseason game. 12 points. The Knicks' defense was that good. Now, the bad news, the caveat, and we've got audio from Mike Brown about the game last night. We'll hear from Tyrese Maxey, Nick Nurse. The scary news for the New York Knicks is that OG Anunoby went down. Now, looked like lower body, leg. I'm not a doctor. Range of hamstring, possibly. And according to Mike Brown and what has been released from New York at this point, it doesn't seem like it is extremely threatening for OG Anunoby, who's the best defender on the Knicks right now. He's caused the most havoc in the postseason. If he's out, that changes things a little bit. But I'm going to play it as if with or without OG Anunoby, the Knicks win this series, because they do. And that with OG Anunoby, the Knicks are a NBA Finals team. And that is without, in a game where, again, you only scored 19 points in the fourth quarter, and you've once again been out free throwed in your own arena. The Knicks are trailing the series by like 20 free throws. Last night, the Knicks were out free throwed again, 28-25. For some reason, Mike Brown was really stuck on that. Here's what he had to say post-game about that disparity.
And we did a better job. They were on track to get 40 free throws. And, we got to try to do something about it, because they're killing us from the free throw line through this series. I know it's only 2 games, but they had 34 and 28 tonight. Let's see if I do my math right. That's 30. That's 62. 62, and we had 17 and 25. So that's 42, right? 42-62. So we I don't know, we have to do something right. I have to do a better job addressing it. Hopefully, it can get evened out a little bit more throughout the course of the series. But it's tough to win a ball game if you're getting beat from the free throw line like that versus a really good team. So we got to look at every aspect of it, how we're helping on their drives, everything. But it's a big discrepancy.
That is a much better Mike Brown than what we got in the series against Atlanta. That is a much better Mike Brown. Instead of, I'm not saying we're going to win the whole thing, guys. Come on. Instead of the awkward fumbling around to, after a gritty win, get to the podium and say, hey, we've got to be better at not fouling. We've got to be better at hedging. We've got to be better coming off screens at not fouling. In the paint, not fouling. That's a much better Mike Brown. It's like he's slowly learning this postseason how to handle the New York market, the media, say the right things, because you have to. Mike Brown, to this point, has not. Last night, I thought he did. The Knicks are in a great spot. Tyrese Maxey said bluntly in his post-game press conference last night that this is going to be last night's gritty game, close game, low scoring. That's going to be the expectation. And for a guy who lost game 1 in this series by too many points to count, by what, 35 points? 40 points. Maxey to call it close is interesting. Here's the audio.
it's going to be like this for the rest of the series. Like I said, last game was tough. It was for sure tough. You know what I mean? Like, that was my first time in my career in the playoffs of playing the series and leaving that place and coming here and playing next day. It was really, really weird, really different. Like, all my years, I've always had time to, like, practice a couple times before we played the team, so we didn't even practice or anything, you know what I'm saying? But that's no excuse. I'm just putting that out there. But that's how the series is going to be. I don't expect anything less. However long the series is, I feel like every single game is going to be like it was tonight. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be extremely physical, extremely competitive, and it's going to come down to who makes plays at the end of the game.
Yeah. To set the expectation of a series that follows this trend after what I saw in Game 1, I can't erase that blowout. I cannot erase what happened to the 76ers in Game 1. And the way they look, just with or without Joel Embiid in this series, they're tired. And they need Joel Embiid on the floor. And every single piece of Embiid's body is hurt right now. So I'm not sure if that's going to work. The 76ers' hope in this series is fading. And if their hope is fading, the inverse must be true for the New York Knicks. Hi, Chris. You feel good today. You should feel good today. I was in New York this time last week, and the chants on the subway, the Knicks chants that rang out, you can feel it. You can feel it in New York. You can feel the Knicks in New York right now. 1999. 1999. 27 years the Knicks have been living on that fume. A 1999 run with Willis Reed, Walt Frazier. This team will be in the NBA Finals this year. And it's going to feel like 1999 again. And for the first time in a generation, that's a generation. The Garden isn't just this historic building in downtown New York where Duke plays once a year. It's become a house of pain for the other teams that walk in, whether it's a blowout Knicks win or a close Knicks win. And you know what's different about this? There was the Linsanity run, right, that got everybody going. And it felt a bit like a flash in the pan. And you know what it was? A flash in the pan. Derek Jeter wasn't a flash in the pan. Joe Namath is not a flash in the pan. Is Jalen Brunson the next one up? See, it sounds kind of odd. You would never put Joe Namath and Jalen Brunson in the same conversation. But what we're seeing right now from the Knicks, if Jalen Brunson leads the Knicks to the NBA title, if Jalen Brunson wins an NBA championship for the Knicks, is he the guy? Is he the next New York sports legend? He was impeccable in Game 1 of this series. And then last night, he led the Knicks again in points, 26 of them. Didn't have his best contest. And it didn't, ultimately, there were enough catalysts like Karl Anthony Towns to make up for it. Didn't have his best contest. Still led the team with 26 points. Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns. Are we, in 7 years, saying, yeah, that was a real Willis Reed, Walt Frazier situation? Brunson, Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, a team that plays together. The Villanova guys, this Jay Wright. Well, you know what? Let's just go get a bunch of guys that Jay Wright coached in college and hope that they can win. Well, yeah, they can. Feels like a high school team that grew up together and took over the world. The chemistry of the Knicks is palpable and was again last night. The defense of the Knicks, holding your opponent to 12 points in the I cannot overemphasize 12 points in the fourth quarter of an NBA playoff game. And look, if you're the 76ers, to be dismantled by, it was 39 points. The opener of this series was the message. And last night was the nail. MVP chants the other night raining down for Jalen Brunson. This is 27 points in the first quarter. There's a feeling of fate about this New York Knicks team that is just a little bit different. And maybe the question shouldn't be, well, what if the 76ers come back? I think we're past that. I think if you watched the game last night, if you watched the last two games, if you've seen the way the Knicks are playing both on defense and obviously on offense, and even when their offense wasn't incredible last night, the Knicks still won. If you're watching this series, I'm already counting the 76ers out, and I'm fine to do so. They look banged up. They are. They look old. They are-ish. They look slow. They look tired. They look like they just played a 7-game series in a knockdown dragout against their rival. Oh, they did. Beating Boston in Game 7 in Boston and then immediately jumping into a series with the hottest team in the East, the New York Knicks, who look like they're a far cry from that 2-1 series deficit they had against Atlanta. I'm buying in. The question for you shouldn't be, will they beat the 76ers? They're going to do that. It should be, will they beat the Pistons or the Cavs? I'd be more worried about the Cavs at this point, after how shaky the Pistons looked in the first round. The New York Knicks, you know what? They're the betting favorite. The Knicks are the betting favorite right now to win the East. My money is on Mike Brown, Karl Anthony Towns, OG Anunoby, Jalen Brunson, and the New York Knicks to go to the NBA title. And I'm fine on Thursday, May 7th, the year of our Lord 2026, calling that. Now, when they get to those finals, they're playing the San Antonio Spurs. Oh, here's why. Let's go back to last night in San Antonio. Westwood One Sports, the Westwood One Sports app. This is the Drake Toll Show.
The Ask
touch yourself. And I was taking shots from the front and the back.
What?
It is the Drake Toll Show on Westwood One Sports, the Westwood One Sports app. Coming to you live from a hotel room, the Battery, Atlanta, Georgia, the city of dreams, Claremont Lounge, Magic City, the Hawks. It's the Drake Toll Show. I am Drake Toll with the Savannah Bananas organization. Locked on Big 12, Addie Bates is producing. Curtis Poindexter is running the board. And look, dog, no two ways around it. The San Antonio Spurs are stupid good at basketball. And that whole Kendrick Perkins clip on ESPN after the Game 1 loss about how, I said the Spurs are going to win the NBA title and the Spurs aren't even going to win the series. They're going to lose to the Wolves. Is that the take you want to hang your hat on today? I have a question for you. The listener. Do you listen? Do you pay attention? Because it's a genuine question. I don't sometimes. Like, I'll turn on an ESPN, a Fox, a CBS, and I'll watch the banter back and forth, but I'm not dialed in to the point where 2 days later I can be like, what an idiot. So-and-so said the Spurs were going to lose the series. I don't grab on to things like that. I don't pay enough attention to it. Do you? Because, I've been wrong on this show before, actually. It's happened. I said the Rockets would force the Lakers series to 7. They didn't. They lost in 6. I said the Magic would do away with the Pistons in 6. They didn't. They lost the series outright. But those are normal predictions. That's me telling you, hey, here's what I believe. Here's what I'm basing it off of. When you listen to someone tell you that the San Antonio Spurs are going to lose the series to the Minnesota Timberwolves, and the reason they give, and this analyst's reason they give is, the T-Wolves just got that it factor. We talked about this yesterday. What do you mean it factor? What does that mean? Well, you know what? They just got that dog in them. Hold on, what? Yeah, the Timberwolves are going to beat the Spurs. Okay, fine. Give me a reason why. Well, they're the X factor. What does that mean? What is it factor? What is X factor? What is that dog in them? Can you give me a reason? And you know what? I hear these analysts, like I turned on it was a rough show. It was a rough night for Draymond Green. You turn on these shows and they're just giving you, hey, it's the X factor. And the crutch for this is, man, I played in the NBA. I've seen it. I've been there. And I look at the Timberwolves, and I just see a team that they got that A team. Okay. Oh, hey. Just because you played in the National Basketball Association doesn't mean you can walk up to a microphone, tell me a team's got that dog in them, and now I should just believe, guess the Timberwolves are going to win this series. Last night, the Spurs went up by as many as 47 points. Now, will there be an apology from Kendrick Perkins? No. Will he get on the air and reference him being so incredibly wrong? Of course not. That's not what we do. We hide the moments that are brutally wrong. We hide the cold takes that are exposed. And we make sure they're not exposed. 133-95 San Antonio over Minnesota. What a disaster for the Timberwolves. Julian Champagnie might be him. Here is a 40-second stretch where Champagnie goes three-pointer, Spurs go block to Champagnie three-pointer.
Champagnie gets the bounce. His first points of the night. Kyle Anderson checking in for Minnesota. Champagnie with the block.
Wow. Penny.
And then Fox with the takeaway. It's a 3-on-2. Champagnie lets it fly. It's good. The Wolves having Champagnie problems. It's a 30-point lead.
That place was rocking. Namely, after Game 1 went the other way. Spurs fans had much to cheer about. Here is Mitch Johnson on Victor Wembanyama and De'Aaron Fox being the catalyst, being the tone setters in a series like this.
I thought the defense was pretty consistent throughout that first half. I thought De'Aaron and Victor set a tone, and I thought almost to a man everyone followed suit. Again, there was a lot of good, and times it felt like we had positive momentum in terms of just how we were playing. And I think that, again, is going back to that starting point offensively. There was a few times where, we talk about process, so you can't talk out of both sides of your mouth. So I was frustrated because the ball wasn't going in the hoop, but the process was there, and that's momentum. You just got to believe it. And sometimes it's hard to believe it when the result isn't going your way. And I think we did that in a strong way tonight. And that's probably what allowed the momentum to continue to increase. And then the score started to follow.
Do you want to know a stat that backs up what you just heard from the Spurs head coach? Do you want to know the stat that you bring to the water cooler? You can keep listening to the Drake Toll Show on the Westwood One Sports app, by the way, or live on YouTube, for this nugget that you need today. The T-Wolves' leading scorer was Julius Randle. Well, and Jaden McDaniels. Well, and Terrence Shannon Jr. Oh, and Anthony Edwards. All four guys led the team. They were tied atop the team in points last night with 12. The leading scorer for the Minnesota Timberwolves in a playoff game in the National Basketball Association had 12 points. No single player in this bullpen game for the Wolves played more than 28 minutes. Rudy Gobert had that distinct honor on his 5 points, 3 for 9 shooting. 4 turnovers, by the way, for the big man. The Spurs defense dominated. And how did they do it? Well, when Anthony Edwards came into the game, let's just double team that guy. Let's see how the Timberwolves will respond to Anthony Edwards being double teamed. Here is the T-Wolves head coach, Chris Finch, post-game on that strategy from the Spurs. And how the hell do you fix it?
Game 1, yeah. What did you like, or what did you maybe not like out of what happened after those?
I didn't like a lot of it. I didn't like much of it. I mean, it's you got to get off of it. You got to use it as a catalyst for ball movement, which is what it should be. I thought we dribbled in tough spots. I thought we were late getting off of it. I thought our spacing around it wasn't really good. And our decision-making when the ball came out of there wasn't good either. So this is kind of a chain reaction, So.
Here is, in the same vein, Anthony Edwards on just a bad approach altogether, much less that whole double-team thing.
I mean, we started the game too cool, and they came out physical, picking up full court, full of energy, and we expected that, but we just came out too flat today. I think that was the main thing.
Yeah, too flat is putting it lightly. The T-Wolves were outscored 24-17 in the first quarter, 35-18 in the second quarter. It was a 35-point first half, 24-point halftime deficit. Gross for the Minnesota Timberwolves. And now Paolo in San Antonio has something to be excited about. Moments like this, I got to grow up with the ascension of the San Antonio Spurs as a San Antonio Spurs fan. We had family in the area. We would trek down, and it was great to watch this core of the commercials that would come on to, the AGB commercials with a Manu Ginobili or Tony Parker, man, down to a Matt Bonner or a Thiago Splitter, Boris Diaw. Watching those teams, growing up with the Spurs, was great. Back when, NBA games were all on TV and pretty easy to access, especially if you weren't in that market. But now there's a 14-year-old, Paolo, on Marbach Road, who's watching the TV and growing up with a different era of the San Antonio Spurs. If you're 14 years old and you are a San Antonio Spurs fan, you don't have clear, tangible memories of 2014, of championship banners, of glory days. Instead, those are stories from your dad, your older brother, of what it looked like to see the Spurs with Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili and Tim Duncan dominating the league. But now to Paolo, to a 14-year-old in San Antonio, De'Aaron Fox or Julian Champagnie, Victor Wembanyama, Stephon Castle, old man Harrison Barnes, old man Kelly Olynyk, who got playing time last night, Bismack Biyombo, Mason Plumlee, and Luke Cornett. That's the version of the Spurs that you know. And for the first time in a decade, it feels like, oh, wow, I'm getting to watch, I'm getting to grow up with a Spurs team contending for an NBA title. And Paolo watches Victor Wembanyama, a dude who was built from stardust and moon rock, watches that guy sprint down the court, watches that guy grab 15 boards, 17 boards, 12 boards, 18 boards. And for a kid who has seen the Spurs at the bottom of the standings, for a kid who's actually spent a solid part, half his life seeing the San Antonio Spurs out of the playoffs altogether, who spent the years where he gains true cognizance, has watched the Spurs miss the playoffs perennially. That kid watched a 133-95 beatdown. That kid, that Paolo, is learning what it's like to watch the San Antonio Spurs in the NBA playoffs. And I don't need you to feel bad for Spurs fans. This isn't a pathos thing where you're supposed to think, oh, what do you want me to be upset that the Spurs were bad for a couple of years? They were dominant for 20 years, for 2 decades they were dominant, dating back to the Admiral. Do you want me to be sad for Paolo, the little Spurs fan? He's got a silver spoon, one of the best organizations in the NBA. I'm sad for him? No. But think back to when you were a kid. And you tangibly remember the first time your team was good, the first time your team competed. You'd heard the stories about how they were good a few years ago and you just missed it. But the team that you know, the team you grew up with, the team in your city, that's a team that loses. You've never seen them win. Paolo's never seen them win like this that he can remember. You know the feeling. You remember the feeling when your franchise competed for the first time. When you could sit down and watch it, look at it, and no longer were they your parents' memories of when so-and-so won the World Series 12 years ago. No, it's your memory, watching your team win at the highest level. Paolo sees himself in a Stephon Castle, in a De'Aaron Fox. That's what's special about this in San Antonio. That's what's special about a dominant blowout win. Spurs dump the Timberwolves, 133-95. The series is now tied at a game apiece, headed to Minnesota. And the series has begun after the T-Wolves got that Game 1 victory in San Antonio. When we come back, well, we should do it, shouldn't we? Our biggest losers of the day. Sponsored by Progressive Commercial Insurance, protecting small businesses with affordable coverage options. Quote today at progressivecommercial.com, progressivecommercial.com. Biggest losers of the day on the way. This is the Drake Toll Show.
One of the biggest questions.
gathered in their masses, just like witches at black masses. Evil minds that plot destruction, sorcerer of death's construction. In the fields of bodies burning, as the war machine keeps turning. Death and hatred to mankind, poisoning their brainwashed minds. Oh, Lord, yeah. Darkness, world stops turning, ashes where the body's burning. No more war pigs have the power, and as God has struck the hour, day of judgment God is calling. Underneath the war pigs crawling, begging mercies for the sins. Satan laughing spreads his wings. Oh Lord, yeah.
Tanner Thomas, long balls. It is the Drake Toll Show. Westwood One Sports, the Westwood One Sports app. What a historic brand we carry, huh? The onus is on us, the onus of tradition, to ensure that the beauty, the mesmerizing light of a name such as Westwood One is carried with prestige. Right, Curtis?
Big Gooner.
Yeah, that's what I thought. There he is, sitting in his little smug chair over there, that little smirk on his face. Drake Toll with you from the Savannah Bananas organization and Locked On Big 12. Good morning. I want to preface, as we get into our biggest losers of the day today, that there are going to be many. And it might be you. You could be in there. And this is not meant to offend you. That's not my goal here. It's just to keep you accountable. It's to keep you in the know. In not just sports, but pop culture. What's happening in the world today? It's time for the biggest losers of the day. Biggest loser number one. Autocorrect? See, sometimes you have to have the military turn autocorrect off on your phone. We've all been there, called our local military, and they've been quick to help. This happened as well in the case of the President of the United States. He had to have the military turn off his autocorrect. Curtis?
I love the name Melody because for a long time, they have spell correct and word correct on these crazy machines that we use to put out truths, or they used to be called tweets. And every time I wrote Melania, it would correct to Melody. So I do things, and I work very fast. And I talk about it, and I say, and Melania is fantastic, and Happy Mother's Day, Melania, our great First Lady, Melania, but it would spell correct and word correct to Melody. And sometimes I wouldn't proofread it, and I'd say, and I would get just absolute decimated. These people would decimate. They said he didn't know the name of his wife. He keeps calling her. And I said, what the hell is wrong with this machine? I didn't know about that little feature. But I got that corrected eventually. Corrected the military. I said, come here, you got to correct this. You're killing me. I took more abuse. She's been called Melody a lot. Anyway, I had to explain it to you this way. I stood up here to explain it to you. I apologize. What?
He would have been a great hairdresser in another. He would have been such a good hairdresser. What do you that little motorboat in the middle of the
Curtis, can you make that sound?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Curtis!
And then at the end, it sounds like when I'm on the phone with my mom and she just starts rambling. At the end, she's like, anyway. It's just as if he's winding down a phone and go, anyway. So much talking. I didn't know the little things could do that. The machines. Little devices.
The machines.
The little machines. I didn't know these little machines could do that. And you know who I called? The military. I said, you've got to stop. I said, they're in my phone. You have to. That's our
did
first
Covfefe?
biggest loser of the day. Covfefe. Just chilling in Cedar Rapids. It's our first biggest loser of the day is autocorrect Melody. Our second biggest loser of the day, what the first time you ever got dry humped? Have you ever been dry humped 3 times at once? Well, certain people have. Curtis?
Pete Fairbanks, closer for the Miami Marlins. You have been dry humped many, many times in your life. Can you please tell us what dry humping in baseball is?
I sure can. I'd love to be of service to you and maybe add a definition to this here dictionary. The dry hump is when, as a reliever, they call down and say, hey, in most cases, it's tighter ahead, so-and-so's in the game. You start warming up. Obviously, there's degrees of it. The worst dry humps are the ones to which you then have to fire it off and be as warm as you would be to go in a game with no guarantee that you go in a game. And if you then say your team does not score the run, you sit back down and you have been dry humped.
What does it feel like to get dry humped?
Well, 1 dry hump usually is okay. 2 dry humps does not feel very good. I think in my career I've been dry humped 3 times once, and I felt like I couldn't move my arm for about 8 hours.
Big Gooner.
The last time that I was dry humped, I also could not move my arm for 8 hours. So touch yourself. That much I can understand from Pete Fairbanks. Addie, have you ever been dry humped 3 times?
Me? No.
Mm-hmm.
No. Curtis
this
probably.
was a stunning. Yeah, Curtis, thoughts on the dry? Addie plays adult league softball. Curtis, your baseball days are long behind you. Have you been dry humping?
No, I'm not. I don't go to BYU.
Okay. Wow. We don't need to take shots from the front and the back today. No honor code violations. They don't do that, okay? The lesson to be learned. They don't do that. They don't. Off. Get it off. Get it off.
Get what off?
Touch yourself. Today's a good day. The dry humpers are our biggest losers of the day. Also biggest losers, anyone who eats a Tootsie Roll. Tootsie Roll's recipe from 1896 requires that a batch of the previous day be incorporated into the new batch. This means that each piece has a trace of the original 1896 Tootsie Roll. Addie hates Tootsie Rolls.
That's disgusting. Do you like them? Be honest. That seems like something you would like.
I have not had a Tootsie Roll in, I venture to say, 6 years. I've been on quite the hiatus. I feel as close to God as ever in this fasting of mine. Every time that I think about grabbing a Tootsie Roll, I think, no, I should pray instead, and I do. I haven't had a Tootsie Roll.
Try hump it out.
Because there were the long ones, there were the long, thin ones, right?
Yeah.
The little tubular.
And then the short, fat ones.
Correct. The short, and you would go to a Dave and Buster's type of place. Ours was Larry's Pizza or Big Ben's Pizza, and you went to the arcade, and if you get one of like the five ticket coupon, you could get a Tootsie Roll. And then there was the one song from the night, the butt flat, let me see that Tootsie Roll. 80s, 90s. Then there were the short, fat ones. Remember those? Individually wrapped, individually packaged. And those would just, you gnaw on them for it. It'd be terrible. I can't say I've had any of those in a while. It's just like a little chocolate putty. Is it a taffy? What's a Tootsie Roll?
Dog. I don't know. I don't think people know. It's like what's in a hot dog.
Oh, blip. Yeah, Nitro? What's in a Tootsie Roll?
Curtis!
Oh, well, there's only one man who can help us figure it out. I think I see him right now.
Motorboating.
Curtis, you can't talk. Part of the shtick is he's mute. He can't speak.
What?
You just sniff. That's the whole roll. Look, he pointed us right to the ingredients of a Tootsie Roll. An American staple. It's some sort of weird taffy.
A chocolate taffy candy.
It is. Yep, that's what it says on the label. It basically says weird taffy. Please do not eat. Please. Not ripe for consumption.
Do not
Please
eat.
Stop.
Do not eat.
In case you're wondering who the band is that sings that Tootsie Roll song, they're called the 69 Boys.
Dudes
no,
are.
they're not.
They
That's
are.
not real. Touch yourself.
I'm producing on air.
See that Tootsie Roll. Wow. Biggest losers of the day. Shiloh Sanders. Deion Sanders' son. Shiloh Sanders. Facing more than, what? $11 million in debt. Has filed motions to limit the scope of his bankruptcy trial. And I don't think that parading on anyone's bankruptcy is fun. I would never make fun of anyone who declares for bankruptcy. Some of my closest and most personal friends have done so. Shiloh Sanders, on the other hand, for as much as he's talked, for as controversial a figure as Shiloh Sanders has been in his career, for as odd a guy as he seems, and does not have the right of a media darling, This is a spot where it's almost expected. Like, you know what? Yeah, Shiloh Sanders would be $11 million in debt. And the vernacular that Deion's given about his kids has not been one of accountability. I mean, did you watch him playing at Colorado? I think Deion's good for college football. But if you follow the Shiloh saga, does this surprise you? It shouldn't. $11 million. How do you do that? That's an impressive amount of money from Deion Sanders' son. Ugh. I wish I could be $11 million in debt. Nachos, lemon heads. I should try it sometime. Addie Bates produces. Curtis Poindexter. On the board. Our obituaries are coming up. It is Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. Who is dead today? Thor? Huh. This is the Drake Toll Show.
This is Westwood One Sports.
She's a rich girl, she don't try to hide it. Diamonds on the soles of her shoes. He's a poor boy, empty as a pocket. Empty as a pocket with nothing to lose. Sing ta-na-na, ta-na-na-na. She got diamonds on the soles of her shoes. Ta-na-na, ta-na-na-na. She got diamonds on the soles of her shoes. 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 Say she's crazy, she got diamonds on the soles of her shoes. Well, that's one way to lose these walking blues. Diamonds on the soles of your shoes. She was physically forgotten, but then she slipped into my pocket with my car keys. She said, you've taken me for granted because I pleased you. Wearing these diamonds. And I could say, ooh, as if everybody knows what I'm talking about. As if everybody here would know exactly what I was talking about. I'm talking about diamonds on the soles of her shoes. She makes the sign of a teaspoon, he makes the sign of a wave. The poor boy changes clothes and he puts on aftershave to compensate for his ordinary shoes. And she said, honey, take me dancing, but they ended up by sleeping in a doorway by the bodegas and the lights on over Broadway, wearing diamonds on the soles of their shoes. And I could say, ooh, and everybody here would know what I was talking about. I mean, everybody here would know exactly what I was talking about. I'm talking about diamonds I got diamonds on the soles of my shoes, yeah. Well, that's one way to lose these walking blues. Diamonds on the soles of my shoes. Ta-na-na-na, 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 ta-na-na-na.
It is the Drake Toll Show. They just don't make it like that anymore, do they? To the right, to the front, to the front, to the back, to the back. And I was taking shots from the front and the back. Deal. That's going to be on the podcast with zero context. 7 o'clock hour Eastern time on the Drake Toll Show. Here's what happens with the podcast is every day the Drake Toll Show is put in podcast form, and you can listen to it wherever you get your podcasts. So if you miss part of the show, you're like, all right, I'm going to go back and listen to that take on Mike Vrabel and Dianna Russini.
Big gooner.
Problem is, for copyright reasons, we can't put the music into the podcast, so we separate the two audio streams, and we take one out. So what you hear in the podcast is me just going, hump, baby, hump. And I feel a whoop coming up.
Dry hump.
With dry hump, with little to no context. The best ones are the days where I don't reference the song at all, where I just give you a couple of those lines, my nose is big like a pickle. Humpty Dance is your chance. As if I'm singing it out of you're listening to the podcast, and then I just roll right into the show. Don't even mention it. You're just like, dang.
My favorite ones are when you spend the first 10 seconds just going, and I don't edit it out because I'm just like, this is great.
I like to applaud Curtis when he goes in there and finds the 69 boys, the Tootsie Roll. Like, you know what? He deserves a round of applause. And so sometimes I'll giggle and I'll start with that as he's bonking his way over there.
Touch yourself.
Delete, yeah, if Curtis couldn't play those, what would he? We're his Twitch.
Probably quit.
We're his little. We're his little. What? Who did to it? Nintendo. We're Switch. We're his Switch. We're his Nintendo Switch. Little buttons he can press. We're his little video game during the day.
Right, Dad.
Yeah, Curtis would have a Switch. It's the Drake Toll Show, Westwood One Sports, and the Westwood One Sports app. Addie Bates from Washington, D.C., Curtis Point. Have you taken a day off yet of the entire show?
Oh, I'm not allowed to.
No, not you. You can't. Why would you ever? Addie, have you?
Since the show launched? Yeah, I took a day off.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. It was like one?
Yeah, and then you texted me still, and I woke up in a panic while I'm on vacation because you... and I was like, well, now I'm awake. So I didn't really take a day off.
Well, I needed help, okay? And you were quick to help, thank you. I don't think we only had Laura fill in because Curtis was working double time for other parts of the company.
I did submit my vacation time to Armin for the summer, and it was 2 days. And he's like, "Are you sure you don't want to take more?" And I was like, "I don't know," because I panic.
Yeah, you should probably take more. There are some company ones though. We've got some like a Memorial Day and Labor Day and stuff.
Yeah, but who's going to take care of you?
I don't know. Am I not off too? It's Memorial Day and Labor Day.
Well, I'm not taking those days off.
It'll just be me.
Yeah, I don't take those days off. I'm just using my comp days later on. Like, I won't be here early July because I'll be in Denver.
Right.
But, like, the other days, like, who's going to... I worry about taking days off. Like, who's going to take care of you?
Stu Kovacs? John Lund? You know what? Chris Mack. Just get Chris Mack in here. Let him produce the show one day. Let Curtis produce the show. Let Curtis build the rundown.
I do actually really do trust Curtis to produce the show. Like, some days I'm like, Curtis could just do it because, I mean, he's a producer at his other gig. He knows the show.
yeah.
I do trust, as much as we give Curtis crap and, like, call him, like, mute and a Switch kid or whatever, which there's nothing wrong, Curtis, with being a Switch. But
No.
I do trust Curtis to produce the show.
Did you say you don't trust Curtis?
I do. I said I do. I do trust Curtis.
Okay, good. Yeah, I do too. All right, fine. You take days off, Curtis. It's you and me up top. Nice. Come on.
Curtis is scared.
Bang. Woo. It's time for our obituary. Dead today, Noah Syndergaard's hair. Addie, what happened to this?
Turns out, I think that the worse person you are, the worse your hairline gets. That's what I like to think. I'm kidding. It's all genetics. I'm sorry, guys. Yes, I'm sorry. It is just kind of funny because he's known for his long, luscious hair, but now you see this, it's like, actually, it's okay if you cut it. At a certain point, you have to heed a certain call, and it's okay to cut your hair.
One of the tweets that I saw was, "This is the most hair I've ever seen on a bald man." That's crazy. A lot of it's. I've just never seen someone's hair start at the very back, but then grow for 1.5 feet. It's an interesting optic for Noah Syndergaard. In a hat, completely normal. Hat comes off, I was like, whoa. Where the hell did that come from?
It's a little scary.
Yeah, dead today. Syndergaard's hair also dead today. Anything that has to do with boats. So, they're saying there is a Mount Rushmore of boat tragedies. Number 1, the Titanic. A lot of people died. Number 2 would be that one time my boat ran out of gas, and that local man, Willie, had to pull me to the dock where I could get more gas and then go back home in my boat. 3, Dianna Russini and Mike Vrabel renting a private boat together as friends. Remember, this is what friends do. They rent private boats together. They rented a private boat together while Dianna Russini was pregnant. That's the 3rd worst boat tragedy of all time. And then 4th would be whatever the hell is happening with that sick cruise. I think the sick cruise is still in the water. I haven't gotten an update on the sick cruise. Every month or two, we get that like national headline story that you're a little bit confused by, and you aren't sure of all the details, but you know your aunt is so dialed into it. She's reading People Magazine and Cosmopolitan about it. Like, when Nancy Guthrie's mom went missing, that was the big thing. It's like, wow, we've got to find her. And then I don't know if we have yet. We haven't, have we?
I don't think it's been. No, I know.
You're
Savannah,
still looking.
I know Savannah left the show abruptly. I think yesterday. So.
Oh.
And there was like a
Interesting.
prowler
I didn't know
caught
she
in
was
that
back on
neighborhood
the
on
air.
camera. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we have one of those stories every couple months. The boat thing, the boat sick thing, is that right now?
Yeah.
Kind of like when the kid was in the balloon. Remember Balloon Boy?
Yeah.
Everybody, all of America was like, gotta find that kid, gotta find the balloon boy. And they shot down the balloon. There's no damn boy in this thing. He was just in the attic. And his parents may have made the entire thing
Curtis
up.
would have found him.
Oh, no. Curtis could have found him.
They thought a balloon was a drone.
Yes. That's the boat cruise equivalent. Honorable mention will be the Maine. Remember the Maine. Don't forget it. Started World War I.
What about the Dave Matthews tour bus incident?
Do we? Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's boat related. Yeah, they dumped that feces all over that boat.
Or what about the
Shoot.
Minnesota Vikings boat?
Oh, the Edmund Fitzgerald. Oh, that's a bad one too. I've got to rework my boat rankings. I got to rework my maritime disaster rankings. Mike Vrabel and Dianna Russini we will certainly talk about over the course of the rest of this show, because that's crazy. Someone tweeted this week. They're like, tweeted yesterday. Mike Freeman said, "My boat story is really, 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 really weird." To which Mr. Locke Sportello quote tweeted it with, "It's funny to not know whether this is about a deadly virus or an NFL coach having an affair." And our final obituary today, the Detroit Tigers AAA manager? The Detroit Tigers fired their AAA manager, Gabe Alvarez, after he sent an inappropriate text message to a female colleague, saying he sent a single text message to a colleague that was a lighthearted joke. After sending it, I recognized the message was inappropriate, did not reflect the values and judgment I strive to uphold. I reached out to clarify my intent, and the Tigers just fired him. He's fired. So there he goes. Oops, he accidentally sent a text. My bad. And then the Tigers said, you know what? No more AAA manager. Those are our obituaries today. That is who is dead as of Thursday, May 7th at 7:11 Eastern Time. It's time for the Quickie. Top 5 headlines in all sports. Addy Bates reads them. Drake Toll responds.
All right, here's your first headline. Finch says Wolves got punked in 38-point blowout.
They did as many as 47 points. That was the largest lead for the Spurs last night. It was ugly. And the dissenters who thought after one game the San Antonio Spurs were dead, the same Spurs who I picked to win the NBA title this year, by the way, those who said that the Spurs are dead were incorrect. Like, I don't see how a Victor Wembanyama-led team can be doubted at any point until they get to Oklahoma City. And they will get to Oklahoma City. Dominant last night. The Spurs will I think the Spurs will win both in Minnesota. The Timberwolves just don't. I don't think they have enough gas in the tank to win a series against San Antonio.
Here's your second headline. Pat's Drake May backs Vrabel, says he's a great human being.
Yeah. Again, man, if you found out yesterday that Dave in accounting has been having an affair with 100 women, and I'm not saying Vrabel did, this is back to the Tiger Woods conversation, with 100 women, you'd probably look at Dave in accounting a little bit different. If you found out your best friend, your coworker, your boss, your colleague was doing relations with Dianna Russini on a boat while she was pregnant for 6 years, you'd probably look at him a little bit differently. Drake May, on the other hand, nope. He's a mature, upstanding U.S. citizen and wants you to know that Mike Vrabel is the exact same. Just in a world where you can go to the podium and say, hey, that's my football coach. We take care of business. We're going to get the job done this year. That's fine. But to double down, he's an incredible human being. Not necessary. That's a minute.
Here's your third headline. Biggest one of the day. Kentucky Derby winner Golden Tempo is not running in the Preakness.
They moved the Preakness up. That's a big piece of this. They moved the Preakness up, and it's going to bar us from maybe ever having a Triple Crown winner again. And DeVoe said, Cherie DeVoe said, for the safety of the horse, we can't do this. That after monitoring, ultimately the best decision for Golden Tempo was to not run. For the health of the horse, they shouldn't run. Move the Preakness back a week, 2 weeks, you're in a much better spot. Tighter turnaround, not going to work. And the horse that just exploded in the last quarter mile after the last turn to win the Kentucky Derby is not competing the Preakness. That's bad. That's not as fun, but it's horse racing's fault. You have a way to fix this. That's a minute.
Here's your fourth headline. Luka Doncic says being injured during Lakers' playoff run has been very frustrating.
I could see that. No, I see where he's coming from. I think some people will read into this too much. The Lakers are... they get the consolation prize of being in the second round of the NBA tournament, being in the Western Conference semifinals. But there's no way. Oklahoma City is a 15.5-point favorite again tonight. There is no way the Lakers win this series. And I don't see them being that competitive the rest of the way either, with or without Luka. So, yeah, I would be sad too. But even with Luka, the Thunder win in 5 games, maybe 6 games, even with Luka. So, I'm okay. It's okay.
This isn't a headline. It's a tweet, but I want you to react to it. It says, rest in peace to Ted Turner, the last owner to manage a game and the last owner to host a wet t-shirt contest.
Yeah. Things used to get wild. Old Fulton County Stadium. I passed by it yesterday. I'm in Atlanta. You can kind of feel it. People here are shocked by this. Ted Turner, long time, like Atlanta Braves legend. We have moved past the era of wet t-shirt contests, but the Turner brand lives on. Definitely one of the most hands-on owners of all time, and he did manage one game, a 2-1 loss for the Atlanta Braves after firing a manager who'd lost 16 straight. That's Ted Turner, baby. Rest in peace. Cool-looking guy. He was the I've got to figure out my analogy there. But I'm a Ted Turner guy.
Well, if you won the contest, you got to kiss him, and you got $500.
Whoa, I didn't know that they were allowed to kiss Ted Turner. That's kind of crazy. He's like the Robert Redford looks-wise. He got that like suave.
No.
thing.
Robert Redford is a
MLB
very
owners.
gorgeous man. Not anymore. But no.
Both
He is
dead.
not. He is not Robert. Do not ever insult Robert like that.
Oh, my God. I like Robert Redford, friend of the program. Addie Bates produces. Curtis Poindexter runs the board. When we return, Jake Hassan joins the Drake Toll Show. Let's talk some small round ball. This is the Drake Toll Show.
Patrick Mahomes, ACL tear late last year. No playoffs in KC for the first time in 12 seasons. But now, Andy Reid says the 3-time Super Bowl MVP is on track for OTAs. Could Mahomes really be 100% by week 1? Westwood One Sports.
is the Drake Toll Show. Good morning. Drake Toll with you from the Savannah Bananas organization, Locked On Big 12. Notable Texas Rangers fan, which means that I'm pretty much sad all the time, except for that 1 year. That was nice. Didn't really see it coming either. It just kind of sneaks up on you. And watching last night, a 6-1 victory for the Rangers in the Bronx. Liked that. You know what? To be in Atlanta right now, and this weekend, that's where the Bananas are playing, the Party Animals, to be in Atlanta and to feel the impact of, we just mentioned the death of Ted Turner and that weird kind of 24 hours where you think about his career and leading the Atlanta Braves. Man, there are so many storylines that hover around Atlanta right now, including how damn good the Braves have been. Jake Hassan joins the Drake Toll Show at the Jake Hassan on Twitter and Hassan's Hacks. And Jake, for those Braves, for Atlanta, is this a team that has longevity? And I know they lost last night. A team that has longevity to keep this pace the rest of the year? Or is this one of those early season feel-good stories that fizzles out by August?
I think they have the longevity, and mostly because they're still doing this with a ton of injuries. They're doing this with no Spencer Schwellenbach, most notably. They're doing this with Ronnie Acuna Jr. now just going on the injured list as well. So I think they have the longevity here, especially because you know what the Braves do. They're not going to stop. They're going to see themselves as a contender, and come the trade deadline, they're going to say, okay, give me a little Jorge Soler, give me a little random pitcher from the AL East, give me this random pitcher from some bottom feeder. So they're going to add at the deadline too, and then they're going to start to get these guys back. And I think that because of that, they're going to be able to stay afloat as a contender, and also that division sucks, so that helps.
You know, Jake, it's weird that I would start this with a question that pumps up the Braves who lost yesterday. How about a team that a team in the LA Dodgers who blinked for a second? And now they've won 3 of their last 4, but they blinked for a second. Did we see a crack in the Dodgers foundation, or is this still the best team in the MLB? You're just looking at the ebbs and flows of baseball.
I think it's a little bit of both. I do think it's ebbs and flows in baseball. We did kind of do this last year with them in that division where, the Padres are only a game back, and then the Dodgers come July, August, September. They just blew everybody out of the water. You also have to consider that it's the Dodgers. They don't care about games in April and the first week of May. They're not built for the 162. They're thinking, all right, we just got to get in. We can probably win this division pretty easily, maybe with a little bit of struggle if the Padres and Diamondbacks are going to stick around. But they don't care about these games. They care about getting in October and making it a three-peat. So they should still be the favorite. They're the rightful favorite. But I do think that they are a little flawed because eventually you see it all the time, Drake. These long postseasons are going to start catching up to these guys too. They're on these grinds now of 180 games. They're not just doing the 162. And Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, those guys aren't getting any younger.
Yeah, Jake, keeping with the Dodgers, Shohei Ohtani woke up batting .248 right now, but is also one of, if not the most dominant pitchers on planet Earth. He's got a sub-1 ERA. Even when he's not hitting the ball, he's just blowing it by you. Can you conceptualize the art of being alive and sentient at the same time as one Shohei Ohtani?
I honestly struggle to on a day-to-day basis. I mean, his, quote, worst start so far this year is 2 solo home runs and a still dominant outing against Addy Bates' Astros, who have the worst, most pitiful team in baseball, by the way. But that's his worst start. He's awesome. And even though he's hitting .240, he's still a minus .360 favorite for the MVP. That's the type of world we're living in with this guy. And it's deservedly so, because he's still, despite the batting average, hitting home runs, has an .840 OPS. So it's just something new every day with this guy, and I can't wait to tell future generations about how awesome he was.
Jake Hassan is joining the Drake Toll Show at the Jake Hassan on Twitter, and Hassan's picks. Jake, the Tarek Skubal news, Thank goodness he didn't pitch at length in the World Baseball Classic. Otherwise, this would have happened sooner. That coming down the pipeline is and we talked about it on the show yesterday. Are we seeing a genuine uptick in MLB star pitchers getting hurt earlier in seasons, or is this just the recency bias of, well, a lot of guys are injured, so we think it's a problem, but it's actually been happening since the dawn of time?
I think it's been happening since the dawn of time. It's just these high-profile guys. When you have guys like Hunter Brown in April with the shoulder strain, now Skubal, Crochet as well. I think it happens every year, but it's just that when you have the guys who finished 1, 2, 3 in Cy Young voting last year, they're all on the injured list. Yep. Everybody wants to sound the alarm, and everybody loses their minds. So I think this has always been happening, but I'm sure there's an uptick somewhere with the signs of how much guys are throwing, their throwing programs, all the people who go to Driveline over the off season. Guys are just putting in more work. So obviously the human body is not meant to withstand that much throwing, and it's just catching up to some of these guys.
Jake, the AL Central, keeping it there with Detroit, Tarek Skubal. The AL Central and the AL West, in a race for every team to finish 500. Is that just I'm looking at 10 teams, and I'm wondering, is there a contender out of any of them? I think the Mariners will catch on, but they haven't yet. The Astros are putrid and can make a change. Is there anybody in that 10 that could genuinely contend with the Yankees for the AL?
If you're talking about genuinely contend, I'll cross out the entire AL Central. Let's just take that wadded up, throw it away. Yeah. But I think you're right. The Mariners, they have the pitching. I mean, if they could ever get George Kirby, Brian Wu, Emerson Hancock on the same page to all be good at the same time instead of one of them taking turns every week, that would be great. If Julio Rodriguez, who has played better over the last week, starts to keep this up, I think the Mariners have some staying power. And I'll make you happy, Drake. I think the Rangers still have it. I think that the Rangers still, like, Skip Schumacher is a top-tier manager. You still have a really, really good rotation. Even though DeGrom was not great in his last start, it was the Yankees. What are you going to do? It happens. But with him, Eovaldi, and Gore, still think you have the ceiling and the star power there. Is it going to happen? I don't know. But they have the ceiling for sure. You could absolutely have a 23 situation where they just catch fire and they just steamroll everybody.
I wouldn't mind that. The National League Central, I think any one of those teams they'd win the American League Central by 7 games. But instead, all 5 of them are jumbled up in this hodgepodge of good. What is the great separator that has made the Cubs? It's put the Cubs at the top of the division, and will the Cubs stay there?
I think the Cubs right now are just hot at the right time. Their lineup is all hitting well collectively as a team. I'm not a Cubs believer. I don't think they have the pitching to stick around. I don't think Shota Imanaga is going to keep this up, especially as we get into the summer and fly balls start to leave the park more. I just am not a believer in anyone in that rotation on that staff outside of Edward Cabrera. I still think the Pirates are the best team in that division because they have the star power. Obviously, Skeens. Jared Jones is about to come back, who, by the way, is still hitting 100 in his rehab starts. Still really good. I think Bubba Chandler will figure it out at some point. Mitch Keller's your 3. That's pretty good to have as your number 3. And now as Connor Griffin starts to turn into a star in front of our eyes, O'Neal Cruz is still a 30-30 type of player. Even though Brandon Lau and Ryan O'Hearn don't wow you, they're actual major league players, which is something more than what the Pirates have had recently. So I still think that the Pirates are cooking with gas here. I love that rotation. And then if you have a superstar like Griffin, I think it'll get them across the finish line come season's end.
We were convinced, and Vegas would have told you the same thing. Everybody, I am not buying a Dodgers three-peat, and it would take a segment or two of the show to give every reason, my Mount Rushmore of reasons. And a portion of it is the parity and the ebb and flow of baseball here. With that being said, and look, it is still early enough for this to be a tough question to answer, but Jake, is it the Dodgers and everybody else, or is it the Dodgers and a lot of their friends in that same category at the top of the league?
I am starting to think that it is going to be the Dodgers and friends. I think it's only 2 or 3 friends. I mean, you put the Braves in there. You have to put the Yankees in there. But I do think that the Braves are starting to show, like I talked about when we first started talking, Drake, a little bit of wear and tear, even though they don't really care about these games as much. I do think, just think about how hard it is to three-peat in any sport, but especially baseball. Yeah. And we talk about the ebbs and flows of baseball. Should the Dodgers be the favorite? Yes, of course. But I do think that somebody else could break through this year, because there are also a lot of more top-tier teams than we've seen in the last couple of years.
Is Jake Hassan at the Jake Hassan joining the Drake Toll Show. I'll leave you with this. You know what? I'm going to keep it 30,000 foot. Just to point it, I'm going to give you a name and just wherever your mind takes you, Jake. Framber Valdez.
I mean, just the biggest joke. I mean, at least he's not hitting his own teammates this time.
That's great. Jake, where can listeners of the Drake Toll Show and Westwood One Sports find more of your work this baseball season?
Yeah, I will be around at the Jake Hassan on Twitter, at Hassan_Jake on Instagram. You can follow my Substacks. We do write up every day, and by we, I mean me. HassanTax.substack.com. That's every day. You can find me weekends, Game Day Garage, and the Off the Board podcast as well.
I love it. Jake, thanks for your time this early in the morning.
Anytime, guys.
You can follow him again at the Jake Hassan, Hassan. You can also call this show, and give your thoughts on Jake's thoughts. 310-840-4910. 310-840-4910. Addy, I know he took shots at the Houston Astros.
What was that? What was that?
Who, to be fair, are kind of putrid right now. Sorry.
Yeah, look at the IL.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Carlos Correa news is not going to help you. Sorry. The Framber Valdez situation, to elaborate on it a bit, just him being notable bad guy in Major League Baseball. As a Houston Astros fan, that he's like the Kim Mulkey of Major League Baseball. If he's on your team or is your coach, as a fan, you're like, I like the moxie. I like, you and then the second he's somewhere else, like, I hate that guy. He is the worst. Is that where Astros fans are? Are they happy Framber Valdez is not wearing a Houston jersey?
I think it's a bunch of mixed emotions, because he would go deep. He'd give you innings. He would eat up innings. Thank you, Curtis. So your bullpen would have. You knew that your bullpen could relax, but you knew that would happen there'd be that game once every 5 starts where he has that meltdown, where he crosses up his catcher, where he hits someone and he's just, like I said the other day, he's a head case. And so for me personally, I was excited that he wasn't coming back, because I was like, we just need better vibes in the clubhouse. And the vibes in question, the IL, I guess. So you win some, you lose some.
Let's talk more in depth about Framber Valdez later on in the show. Look, it's another day in 2026 if we've got a new update in the Mike Vrabel, Dianna Russini situation that we do here. A private boat outing between the two. When we come back, let's give you a recap, a look in at last night in the NHL and the NBA, and then more importantly, jump into the storyline of the NFL offseason so far. Dianna Russini, Mike Vrabel. Could this new information cost Vrabel his job? This is Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. This is the Drake Toll Show.
I don't know why I keep on believing you need me when you've proved so many times that it ain't true. And I can't find one good reason for staying. Maybe my leaving would be the best for you. But these rose-colored glasses that I'm looking through show only the beauty, 'cause they songs I used to hear when I held you. And they keep me from feeling so cheated, defeated, when reflections in your eyes show me a fool. These rose-colored glasses that I'm looking through show only the beauty, 'cause they hide all the truth. So I'll just keep on hoping, believing that maybe by counting the many times I've tried, you'll believe me when I say I love you, and I'll lay these rose-colored glasses aside. These rose-colored glasses that I'm looking through show only the beauty, 'cause they hide all the truth.
Than what I've been trying to be, baby. My toes makes me think on my nose. Wherever it goes, I always know there's something happening here. What it is ain't exactly. You live your life like a candle in the wind.
I love to sing about the moon and the tuna and the springer.
Drink
I love to sing
Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. When the DJ you hired for your son's bar mitzvah is a little bit cheaper than you thought. This is Curtis as a DJ. That's what he was.
I can do better transitions than this.
I honestly, I'm kind of in on it. I know all the songs. I'm buying it. Addie,
This is scary. This is like last night when I was in bed, a little inebriated, and as I'm drifting off into sleep, this is what I heard. This is what I heard.
That's the hat, man. That's after 3 Benadryl. This is all you hear.
Like,
You're just in the corner shaking. And this is playing. This is me after my 7th margarita on Cinco de Mayo. They'll talk about Cinco de Mayo 2026 for the rest of time in my household. They'll remember it. And they used Wagon Wheel with the Old Crow Medicine Show version. That's ball knowledge. That's something Josh Graham would be excited about. Do you ever feel honored? Do you ever feel honored by the people we get to work with?
Every day I wake up and I'm so excited that I get to work with Curtis Poindexter.
True. Crotch. Poindexter. I called Josh Graham probably 3 weeks ago, and we just talked for an hour. I was driving to the airport.
You don't call us.
Life and love. I call Josh Graham.
Yeah, you don't call us.
He's my best friend in the world.
We're the ones that keep you on air.
Sleeping. Most of the time, anytime that I would be calling,
not wrong.
One of you is sleeping.
80% of the time.
I'm always asleep. It's like
Curtis is nocturnal.
Our bosses know, like he's like, man, Addie's been really quiet in the chat, and it's been 4 hours. I was like, well, that's because I was asleep.
Because that's what a nap was.
4
Thanks. Look, been there. The NBA last night. The New York Knicks. If I'm a Knicks fan, I believe. I'm bought in. I'm after the 2-1 series deficit against Atlanta, things looked ugly. Mike Brown was not saying the right things. Fans wanted him fired. It was tumultuous. The Knicks were a much better team than the Atlanta Hawks. They just weren't playing like it. Since then, since that day, steamrolling these jabrones. And last night, in a game that was more mucked up. Again, remember, if you're the worst of the two teams, you want to slow things down, you want to muck the game up, you want to make it difficult on the opposing team to get into a rhythm. That was the goal of the 76ers last night. We've got to control the game in the Garden. And the Knicks went into the fourth quarter trailing the contest by a point. The Knicks losing at home. And New York was only able to put up 19 points in the fourth quarter. The fourth quarter of an NBA postseason game only put up 19 points. But to do you one better, even with OG Anunoby coming off the floor with what seemed like a lower body injury, and his status is still in question, the Knicks' defense was incredible. The Sixers scored 12 points in the fourth quarter. 12 points. The Knicks outscoring Philly 19-12 in that fourth frame. 108-102 the final. And then Victor Wembanyama is not from here. He's not from this planet. The Spurs winning 133-95, leading by as many as 47 points over the Timberwolves last night. I think that the idea yesterday from some national analysts, the Spurs would lose this series, is no one's paying you to have to rush to that conclusion so quickly. And now we've proven that my theory, the Spurs as champions of the NBA this year, looks pretty good. Spurs Knicks in the NBA title is what we're on a crash course toward in 2026. Oh, and in the National Hockey League, Sabres 4, Canadiens 2, and the Ducks get a win in Las Vegas. Anaheim, huh? Yeah. Imagine Anaheim playing in the title in the West. Playing for a title in the West? Wow. And the Sabres, a 1-0 series lead. They look good. They look very good. You know who looks good in a sundress on a boat, sailing somewhere around Key West? Probably pregnant Dianna Russini. And those aren't my words. I'm not telling you that I enjoy the look of a pregnant Dianna Russini on a private boat in the ocean just off the coast of Key West as she's in a sundress. No, it sounds like that would be the inclination of Mike Vrabel. He would be the one who is navigating in that direction. Vrabel, the head coach of the New England Patriots, who went to the Super Bowl this year, has been caught in controversy. And this has been a conversation for the last month now, when it was found out that Vrabel and Dianna Russini had gone to a resort, typically reserved for couples, in Arizona, Sedona, Arizona, and they were locking fingers and hugging and having breakfast. And they said, hey, we just ran into each other. We were both out in Sedona. We decided we're going to hang out for a day or two. It's nothing like that. Don't freak out. Laughable to think we're having an affair. Well, then Dianna Russini quits her job because more evidence is coming out that Dianna Russini might have been having an affair with Mike Vrabel. She quits her job and says she was innocent. I'm so innocent that I'm quitting my job. After that, pictures surfaced of the two of them kissing at a bar, and come to find out, this isn't just a month ago they went to Sedona. No, this is dating back 6 years, if not more. 6 years that we know of Mike Vrabel and Dianna Russini hanging out. And then the controversy explodes of, her kids, the birth of her children coincides, both of them coincide with trips to see Mike Vrabel when he was coaching in Tennessee, trips to Nashville. Is there any way those are Mike Vrabel's kids? This whole thing has gotten ugly. It's gotten gross. And mind you, in the entirety of this saga, Mike Vrabel has still been the head coach of the New England Patriots. He's the head coach of the team that went to the Super Bowl last year. If this came to the surface about Mike Tomlin, if this came to the surface about John Harbaugh, if this had come to the surface about anybody not named Mike Vrabel, any other organization, how does that guy keep his job? How does an Aaron Glenn or Mike McDaniel keep their job in a situation like this? Step one to doing so is to work for Robert Kraft and the New England Patriots, the same franchise that employed Bill Belichick for decades, where Robert Kraft leads the way. And you remember Kraft, the whole happy ending thing? Touch yourself. That's the franchise you want to play for, that you want to coach for, if morals aren't entirely your thing. And I think we can all agree that there is a moral wrong in your wife of decades, your wife of 25 years. You've got a 25-year-old kid, a 24-year-old kid with your wife that you've been married to since 1999. There's a moral dilemma when it comes out that for 6 years you've been cheating on your wife with Dianna Russini. And then every step of the way you try to cover this up. Oh, it didn't happen. It's laughable. Oh, one-time mistake. I made a mistake. Oh, a 6-year mistake. And now, worse, picture you're her husband, and you find out that this isn't just hey, let's meet and hook up in some city, and then hook up once or twice a year. That's already incredibly bad. But it wasn't just let's meet and hook up. This is a strictly sexual thing. No, this was like, I love you. We're in a relationship. What? Yesterday, TMZ reports surfaced and shifted the narrative. Documents and witness accounts revealed that Vrabel and Russini rented a private boat together for 2 or 3 hours in Putnam County, Tennessee, in June of 2021 when Vrabel was coaching the Titans. How they got away with this, how they were doing stuff in public like this, and no one was taking it in Tennessee, and no one's taking pictures, getting evidence of Mike Vrabel and Dianna Russini. He was the head coach of the state's only NFL team. You would think someone takes out their camera phone and snaps a photo. But no, the two kept getting away with it. The report also noted that Russini was pregnant with her first child at the time, whom she later named Mike. Are you kidding me? So the evidence is suggesting that a personal relationship goes back at least 6 years. And again, this wasn't the, transactional, marriage got long, we're not really sleeping in the same bed anymore, so I get mine here, I get mine there, wherever I can, sleeping around a bit. Like your best friend in high school is weird dad. Remember his weird dad? You're like, what's your dad like that? Is that the Vrabel Russini situation? Is he's just wouldn't work out with me and your mom, but we're staying together for you kids? No, this is a relationship. This is sexy, sensual gondola rides in the mountains of Tennessee in the Cumberland Gap. That's different. This is an affair where Dianna Russini gets pregnant 9 months after she sees Vrabel. Now, I'm not here to speculate whose kid that is. I'm just giving you the facts. And then when she had that kid, she named the child after the man she was having an affair with. This isn't I'm frustrated in bed, I'm finding avenues elsewhere. She named her kid after the guy. Russini had to quit. For shame. Vrabel, on the other hand, has the nod of his quarterback, Drake May, calling him a great human being. Did you listen to the last 8 minutes of what I just told you, of what I read from the official reports on this? He's a great human being. Drake May said, he's our head coach. I think he's done a great job of talking to us and talking us through it. I'm just looking forward to getting back to work and getting ready. How is this not the ultimate distraction? How are you not, as a player, every time you see your head coach thinking, he was banging Dianna Russini. That kid might be his. Her kid's name is Michael. That level of distraction. There is speculation that Vrabel at some point won't be able to escape it and will have to himself step away at least for some time, as this continues to unravel and get worse and worse. It is the Drake Toll Show, sponsored by Progressive Commercial Insurance, protecting your business vehicles 24/7. See if you can save at progressivecommercial.com. When we return, our idiot of the day, then Dan Grassa, of ESPN New York, joins the show. It is Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app, where you can continue listening all day long. Addie Bates producing, Curtis Poindexter runs the board. This is the Drake Toll Show.
This is
freaks me out, and if I need a breather I can hit the Parkway. Be home before the bars all close, drink away the lies she told, think about the days. She was a pure-eyed child, a rodeo queen, high school lover in a badass Jeep, far from the eyes of a watchful town. Mama didn't need to know. Good corn liquor to shake this cold, and good heart loving on a gravel road. Juliet, won't you crawl outside your window and dance in the arms of your redneck Romeo? Push came down to shove, I'd be a bandit for her love. Shoot sharp and walk away. She was good before she changed her name, and I bet that ain't all that's changed. Goddamn, I remember the nights. I was a young punk kid from a dried up town, Cold Car County full of hunting hounds. She was the one who kept those boys at bay. Her high heels and my red wing boots, cutting couches in the living room. Juliet, won't you crawl outside your window and dance in the arms of your redneck Romeo? for all this boozing. But by God, I can keep it together. Just to hold my baby close, get her moving down a county road, make up for lost time. She was a pure-eyed child of a rodeo queen. She ran on sex and gasoline, far more money than a boy like me could hold. She went off to paint the town, and I'm stuck holding these mountains down, Juliet. Won't you crawl outside your window and dance in the arms of your redneck Romeo? Won't you crawl outside your window and dance in the arms of your redneck Romeo?
And I was taking shots from the front and the back. It is the Drake Toll Show. Westwood One Sports, the Westwood One Sports app. It is 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Good morning to those watching online. Yes, you can watch. It's a radio show that has TV, the video aspect. The Drake Toll Show, both on Twitter and on YouTube. Addie Bates does produce the show out of Washington, D.C. Curtis Poindexter is running the board. I come to you from Atlanta, Georgia today. The passing of Ted Turner has wrecked a city like this. And the impact on baseball, I saw a tweet yesterday. Ted Turner spent decades fighting for kids in Montana to watch the Atlanta Braves. The MLB fought for decades for kids in Atlanta to not be able to watch the Atlanta Braves. And his impact on television, his impact on baseball, it will be interesting being in the venue the next 3 days with the party animals and the Savannah Bananas in the house that Ted Turner built, that family built, to pay homage to a legend in the baseball game, to a legend in the Atlanta area. And, the same guy who brought you Cartoon Network and Adult Swim, Futurama and Tim and Eric, the impact he's had on media, is not one that can be overstated. And in the same week, you lose John Sterling, the legends of the game that crafted what baseball has become, what baseball was when I was a kid. I was watching Craig Biggio highlights yesterday for zero reason, and Jeff Bagwell highlights for zero reason. I'm just going through these random ass highlights from the early 2000s and just giddy. It's that stuff. It's John Sterling. It's that 90s Braves highlights that are Ted Turner. And legends of the game that we lost this week in the sport of baseball cannot be overlooked, should not be overlooked, and we want to recognize that. Good morning. It's the 8 o'clock hour. Addie, you're the baseball, you're the seam head here. Two legends in very different categories that we lost this week.
John Sterling changed the game because he didn't do it like anyone else, and he knew that. He wanted to be unapologetically himself. And so if you ask anybody who's ever worked with him, who's ever listened to him, he's probably influenced you one way or another. That was a major hit to the baseball world, and he really changed the game in his different ways. I mean, he's iconic. You hear his calls, you're like, you know exactly who it is. You don't have to guess. Turner, I mean, my mom's from New Orleans, and she's a Braves fan. Why is she an Atlanta baseball fan? That's because that's the only thing she could watch. She would tell you could get the Cubs or the Braves, and she's like, well, why would I be a Cubs fan? That's all the way up there. That's why there's so many Southerners who are Braves fan. Doesn't matter if you're from North Carolina. I even know my roommate's dad. That's why he's a Braves fan, because that's what you could watch. He made it so accessible for everyone, and I think that's why the Braves have this crazy following, and they probably will for generations. They're going to pass that down to their kids. Sorry, Mom, that didn't work with me. You married an Astros fan. But it's game-changing.
Astros Braves. What a house. That's a wild house. Jeez.
It's awesome.
Well, there you go. That the homage to baseball greats that we lost this week. It is now time, quite the opposite, to berate those who deserve it, our idiots of the day.
Idiot of the day.
Idiot of the day. I mean, those who fail to clarify what they mean by C versus C. You've got to be clear, because if you're not clear, it can get confusing. This message was driven home by the president yesterday. Please be cut and dry. Curtis?
Like it, but the numbers speak for themselves. If you really get down, you see drug traffic coming into our country is way down, and by ocean, by the water. You know, a lot of people say, what do you mean by sea? Is it sea like vision? No, it's sea, S-E-A. But it's down 97%.
Again, this is just, we're at the Thanksgiving dinner table. Like, hey, will you pray? Yes, we can. And my grandpa goes, Guatemala. Grandpa, what? He's like, Guatemalans are taking over. What? Can you see the Guatemalans outside? You're like, no, like sea, not like the water sea, like S-E-E-C. Like, Grandpa, what are you talking about? Guatemalans.
And Mom Donnie.
Stop. And Mom Donnie. I couldn't, it is so, again, the tweet, I saw a tweet yesterday, I was like, the comedic timing is, I don't know if it's intentional, but it is incredible for him to, and we'll do it by sea. You know, sea. The ocean. The water.
Russini and Vrabel did. They did it by sea.
They did it by sea. Mike Vrabel and Dianna Russini, they did it by sea. And Mike Vrabel gets to keep his job because, man in sports, man up. Idiot of the day. Oh, no. Addie and Curtis both. Because Addie is half Mexican. And Curtis is half Mexican, so together...
Pause makes it a little weird.
If you two had a kid, the child would be 100% Mexican. Dan Orlovsky tweets, guacamole is best without cilantro and red onion. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Addie, thoughts on the Mexican food expert Dan Orlovsky?
It just sounds like he wants an avocado.
Correct. Just a plain, very, very plain, lightly bruised avocado.
Oh, that just tastes like grass at that point. You gotta add some flavor into that.
I don't like the taste of avocado. Really,
he seems like a guy that would only eat like mac and cheese, and that's it.
Chicken tenders. It's chicken tenders.
Chicken tenders. Dan Orlovsky chicken tenders.
Dinosaur ones only.
You know how when analysts, either political or sports, will be like, shut up and dribble, the whole shut up and dribble thing?
Yeah.
Can we hit Dan Orlovsky with like, hey man, shut up and talk about sports? Just don't. Your thoughts on life and love probably or Mexican food probably are not necessary in this moment. He did, thankfully, get roasted in the comments. Nobody's very happy with Dan Orlovsky, and it seems this is the same Dan Orlovsky who said that Ty Simpson should go number 1 overall. And then when the internet was like, no, you're an idiot, he tweeted out, Twitter can be a brutal, brutal place. Dan, you did this to we're all looking for the guy who did this.
What?
You did this to yourself. Also, that's part of working in sports media. Like, dog, the mean tweets are the fun part. That's where you get the good nitty-gritty feedback. And most of the time, it's don't bully Addie. She hates that part. But to me, it's the mean tweets that are you look at it, you giggle a little bit, and you move on. Because you don't know those people. They don't know you. It's just that's what Twitter's for, is mean tweets. Unless you're Dan Orlovsky, then you just can't handle it. Idiot of the day, Framber Valdez. Addie Framber Valdez suspended. Can we just suspend him for the rest of his career, please?
The worst part about this is that A.J. Hinch was suspended 1 game. The coach who came out and said, yeah, usually when you go out there when the bench is clear, you're like, I'm in the right, we're in the right. And he said, it did not feel like that this time. This guy who literally said that Framber was in the wrong. He's like, this is not who we are, got suspended. That is the most insane part about this to me. I get it, he's the coach, whatever. Framber should be suspended because he's had this kind of stuff happen one too many times. It's kind of the boy who cried wolf. Oh, I didn't mean to. It's like, well, you're a head case. You're a basket case. But A.J. Hinch, that's our biggest loser of the day. That poor guy got suspended for literally just standing against Framber.
Yeah, what's from the Rob Manfred MLB perspective, why?
You're his coach. You went out there when the bench is cleared.
That's kind of part of it. You're supposed to go out there. I don't think anybody's defending Framber Valdez here or has ever defended Framber Valdez for anything. Did Astros fans? I don't remember. No. I wasn't chronically online in the Astros camp. When he was an Astro, were people pretty reasonable about it, or did they love him?
No, when he crossed up the catcher, I'm pretty sure we all started hating him, because it was just what are you doing? That's your own teammate. He's good at making enemies anywhere he goes.
What about the Correa news? Are you comfortable to talk about that?
That's the most Astros thing to happen. Correa tears a ligament in his ankle in batting practice. The whole coaching staff should be fired. All the trainers, fired. Bring in new ones. I don't care. If you look at that IL, these injuries that we're having, this is stupid. It's a season-ending ankle injury. Yeah. They lost pretty much, I want to say their captain. He's basically a second coach on the team. He is so good at what he does, and it's going to be a huge hit to the Astros, who are already struggling a lot to have good baseball games. Terrible.
Would you go as far to argue he is the first coach on the team?
He really is.
The only coach on the team?
He really is. If they fire Joe Espada, we need the injured Correa to be managing that clubhouse.
Player manager. He can do it Ted Turner style.
What t-shirt contest?
Idiot of the day. Brian Kelly on 3 tweets. Brian Kelly revealed how AI is helping him prepare for his next coaching job. Every day, he says, I'm trying to do my due diligence using Claude and AI, asking questions to build some of those answers that I think can be helpful for me as I get in front of an athletic director. What? Never once have I been so bad at interviewing or applying or trying to get a role or a job or function in a group that I've used AI to build questions or to poke holes in myself as a candidate for something.
Maybe he can figure out wind speeds and when it's too dangerous to be out there due to high wind.
Do you think Claude knows that the wind speeds that are unsafe for a suspended surface?
Yes.
Yeah, I could have asked that, huh? Look, this is another chapter in Brian Kelly just saying stuff that is so out of touch with not just either his fan base or society. Same guy that tried to make I'm going to execute my whole team when he walked off joke and got fired in the middle of the season for LSU after a loss to Texas A&M. It was never family. It was never going to work for Brian Kelly. It did not work for Brian Kelly. And now for him to say publicly, I've been using AI to be a better candidate to hopefully get my next head coaching job. I would hope that you as an athletic director are smart enough to read that and say, you know what, it's okay. We probably don't need Brian Kelly, who's gone down as a notable bad guy at most of the stops that he's been in. Oh, and by the way, I think at that, the only place that you could possibly get into, the only athletic director you could fool. Do you see that Baylor hired a new athletic director?
Oh.
Former, this was a little bit ago now, but I still am not over it. He was a former executive at Magnolia.
Oh, yeah.
With Chip and Joanna. Yeah. So, some athletic directors, like a Barry Alvarez, I don't know if he's still over there, walks in the room, is like, hey, man, so 3-3-5, what are you thinking? And he can interview a coach with that kind of rapport. Baylor's athletic director, Doug McNamee, walks in the room. And one of the candidates is like, hey, Doug, I'm thinking about running a 3-3-5. What do you think? And Doug's like, oh, yeah, 3 ounces of flour, 3 ounces of sugar, and 5 eggs. The perfect cookie, the perfect cupcakes. Magnolia. That's who would hire Brian Kelly. That's the society we live in. Sometimes our teams and our places that we love aren't very good at what they do. Maybe he works out. Maybe he's a great businessman. I just don't see how he's going to build rapport with coaches that could be hired. The idiot of the day. I don't know if we have time for. We have time. Maybe 2 more. From CNN, New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani's "Tax the Rich" slogan is just as hateful as racial slurs? What? New York real estate titan Stephen Roth says. Typically, FCC-wise, I shouldn't say tax the rich. They're going to be on my ass. They're not going to like that. I've gone as far as using a racial slur on this show. I'm okay. Oh, damn. I'm going to get myself in trouble, aren't I? I'm going to get myself in trouble. Whew, I got to be really careful. I think that people who have billions of dollars, I don't know if I should say it. I don't know. I think people who have billions of dollars should be taxed more than me. I said it. I said it.
That might be the end of the Greg Toll show. That might be it.
I said it. I'm quoting Zohran Mamdani when I say tax the rich. I'm not saying tax the rich. I would never say that.
I think you're done.
That's racially insensitive, and I would not say that. What I'm saying is he said it, and it's just as bad as a racial slur. That's all. At least that's what was his billionaire and real estate New York titan Stephen Roth says. Yeah, all right. Stop saying tax the rich. I'm rich.
It came in so fast and so hard.
Addie Bates produces. Curtis Poindexter's running the board. Hey, when we do return, what do you say we go to New York and talk a little New York basketball Knickerbockers? Dan Grassa, ESPN New York, on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. It's right here on the Drake Toll Show.
One of the biggest
go on trial just for laughing at the joke, just for saying of the bargain what any sales girl already knows. Most of us old men die at the firing line, just waiting for our number to be called. I guess time just makes fools of us all. Now the king regales his stepson when he's loaded as a gun. Says a real man is like a country. You need a map to find your one. Now I do you suppose you must approach the throne with its back up against the wall. I guess time just makes fools of us all. Minds of my generation gladly conscripted in the war of defending any Goliath that would deign darken the door. Now with your genius for picking battles, it's no wonder every helmet is too small. I guess time just makes fools of us all. I guess time just makes fools of us all. My drink is watered down. The champ is on his knees. He lost the rematch. He lost the comeback. He lost for charity, but that's the job. It's what gets the asses in the hall. They came for a beating, and he came to brawl. Notice that of all the young gods I have known, yours is easily the least famous to turn down the cover of a Rolling Stone. Lily white faces, so familiar and yet impossible to recall. I guess time just makes fools of us all. After a millennia of good times, God said, hey now, let's have a dream where we raise the stakes a little. Come on, let's make things interesting. Parachute into the Anthropocene, an amnesiac, a himbo Kendall. I guess time does make fools of us all.
Good morning. It is the Drake Toll Show on ESPN. Well, no. It's Dan Grossa from ESPN New York who joins us on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. Might as well, man. Might as well. Look, the whole bar last night in Atlanta, Georgia, was yelling for the New York Knicks. Now, this is a virtue of that is being with the Savannah Bananas organization. We've got a ton of these Syracuse grads, a ton of these New York natives, these Knicks fans, and they were going nuts last night over Karl Anthony Towns, Jalen Brunson, and just how good Mike Brown's team looks. Dan Grassa, I want to take you back to the 2-1 series deficit against the Atlanta Hawks. Did you have in mind, could you have envisioned this kind of run for the New York Knicks since that day?
Drake, good to be with you again, my friend. To answer your question mildly, I say no way. Like, if you would have said to me, is this Knicks team going to win 5 consecutive games and look like the best team still remaining in the Eastern Conference, I would say absolutely not, because, when they were down 2-1 to the Atlanta Hawks, you think about those 2 losses they had to Atlanta, even though they were both by only a point, but you just didn't like the way they were playing. Especially that Game 3 in Atlanta, where the last 2 possessions of the game, they turned the ball over. They didn't even get a quality shot off. And this is supposed to be a veteran team, a team that usually has those type of answers late in the game, crunch time, as they say. But it's amazing. And I give credit to the coaching staff, too, because obviously here in New York, we've talked about it in the last week. What Mike Brown and that staff have done over the last 5 games in kind of just reconfiguring the offense and making it not so predictable, especially late in games when it would be just Jalen Brunson standing at the top of the key, dribbling the ball, then waiting until there's 7 or 8 seconds left on the shot clock to make a move and hoist up a shot, and you hope it goes down. They've changed the way they play offensively. They've run it a lot more through Karl Anthony Towns. It's freed up the rest of these guys. And the way last night's game unfolded, Drake, I got to be honest with you. It was a white knuckler there till the very end. This team needed that. Sometimes a win like that last night is more impressive than when you're beating the team by 30 or 40 points like they've been running off here lately. So all signs good. And now I guess the big concern for the Knicks is you wait to see what the MRI results for OG Anunoby are with that hamstring, because that's a guy they can ill afford to be without long term.
For sure. I think, Dan, if you had told me, I would be even more surprised by the idea that the Knicks could go into the fourth quarter down by 1, score 19 points, and still win the game and win it by multiple possessions, holding the Sixers to 12. That's even more impressive to me than the 5 in a row they rattled off out of seemingly nowhere. For an outsider like me, it felt like 2 weeks ago, the relationship between Mike Brown and Knicks fans was an odd one, kind of this roller coaster. Maybe that's a virtue of being a head coach in New York. Where is Mike Brown amongst the diehards as of Thursday, May 7th?
I think the tide is certainly turning because, look, it was a hot and cold relationship, kind of a, let's see what happens when the playoffs get here all throughout the regular season, right? Because let's be real. I mean, a year ago at this time or close to it, when the Knicks were in the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in a quarter century, by all accounts, you thought that Tom Thibodeau did a really, really good job. And you think about where this Knicks franchise was before Tom Thibodeau got here, they weren't even on the map. I mean, they were a laughingstock in a lot of ways in NBA circles. They were completely irrelevant. Tom Thibodeau restored credibility, and as we said, slowly but surely got this team to within one step of the NBA Finals. And, I think a lot of people were shocked when the move was made last year to part ways with him. And as soon as Mike Brown was hired, and let's face it, he wasn't their first choice. They went through multiple guys before they landed on Mike Brown. The regular season was like going to be considered an 82-game warm-up for Mike Brown because it didn't matter how many games the Knicks won in the regular season. His job and the work he was doing and the validation, if you will, to bring him in as the head coach would be determined by what this team does in the playoffs. I mean, you had the owner go on New York radio just a few months ago and say that this team, the expectations are they should get to the finals. So in a lot of ways, the jury is still out. I mean, the expectations are extremely high, but right now, you have to like the position this team is in, given that they're 1 of 4 still left in the East. And I think if you were a betting man, you'd probably put the odds in their favor to make it out of the Eastern Conference right now.
Dan Grassa joining the Drake Toll Show on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app, host from MLB Network Radio and the Dan Grassa Show on ESPN New York. Dan, going back to names like a Willis Reed or a Walt Frazier, what does Jalen Brunson have to do to fully cement himself in that New York kind of the idolized lore for a New York athlete?
Well, you brought up two huge names, right? I mean, those two guys are Hall of Famers. They're champions 2 times over. So obviously, like to be in that lore, you got to win the title, right? You got to win the big one. And look, right now, I mean, you could make a strong argument that Jalen Brunson is not only the best, free agent signing that the Knicks have ever had. I mean, he's right there as one of the best free agent signings in the history of New York sports, regardless of what sport it is. Aaron Judge, even by diehard Yankee fans, still gets a lot of flack in this town. Why? No, it's not because he's won 3 MVPs and he's widely considered one of the best 2 or 3 players in all of baseball, but he hasn't won a championship yet, right? He only has been to 1 World Series, and his postseason numbers pale in comparison to what he's done in the regular season. And I'm a big Aaron Judge supporter, but unfortunately in this town, Drake, unless you win a title, that's what puts you in the rarefied air. Henrik Lundqvist, the Hall of Fame goalie for the Rangers, who played at Madison Square Garden his whole career, he was one of the best goaltenders of his generation, but he never won a Stanley Cup. So that's the always but with him. Eli Manning, what makes Eli Manning, on the footsteps of the Hall of Fame right now? Because he has 2 Super Bowls. A lot of people say Eli wasn't a great quarterback all those other seasons. He never won a playoff game in any of the other seasons apart from the 2 Super Bowl runs. But he is a Super Bowl champion 2 times over, which makes him a legend. So, Jalen Brunson and this team, they still have a lot of work to do, of course. But, what he's done since putting on a Knicks uniform, he's clearly going to have his number retired one day. He's already the captain of this basketball team. But unless you get to the top of the mountain, that's what separates somebody like him with the immortals who hang in the rafters at Madison Square Garden.
Dan, let's flip it to baseball and the New York Yankees. If you asked the casual New Yorker, you know what? No, I'm going to ask Dan Grassa. If you ask Dan Grassa, is this the best team in baseball?
I don't know if they're the best team in baseball. They're clearly the best team in the American League. I mean, the American League is very mediocre, the first month and a half of the season right now. And, I don't know if you followed much in the offseason, but, at least here in New York, a lot of people were critical of the Yankees and Brian Cashman about the way they put this team together. We joked and called it Team Run It Back because they didn't really make any moves whatsoever, apart from Ryan Weathers. That was like the only guy they brought in. But they also had some guys waiting in the wings, and they still do. Carlos Rodon's going to make his season debut on Sunday. Garrett Cole is not that far away as well from joining the rotation. So if you think about how well they've played up until this point, you're getting back 2 quality starting pitchers as well. You know that Brian Cashman will probably go make some moves before the trade deadline gets here in August. So, right now they're as good as anybody. It would be a shocker if they're not part of the postseason festivities in October right now. But, like I just got done saying a few minutes ago, Drake, about Aaron Judge, like the final verdict with the New York Yankees doesn't matter if they win 120 games during the regular season. Yeah. What do they do in the playoffs? This is a team that's only won 1 championship in the last, 25 years. And that's what their fans judge them on. It's championship or bust when you talk about this organization.
Dan, can you take me into New York on Thursday, May 7th? Are Yankees fans dialed in, bought in, drinking the Kool-Aid on a day like today, or is it not until September, October when it truly becomes New York Yankees take over the city?
Well, I think baseball in the city, I think as a whole right now is still on the back burner a little bit because of the Knicks. Right, and the run that they're on. As soon as the Knicks season ends, that's when I think baseball becomes top of the heap here in New York City. And look, to be quite honest with you, the other team in town, of course, arguably the biggest disappointment in baseball so far for the first 35 games. The best thing that the Mets have going for them so far this year, Drake, are the New York Knicks. Because if there were no Knicks playoff run right now, the Mets will be getting absolutely crucified even more so than they have up until this point, because you want to talk about a situation that hasn't even come close to living up to expectations. That's the New York Mets right now. But, baseball will have its place probably come June as to, the big talking point for the summertime until, training camp rolls around and we get ready for a football season.
Yeah. Dan, we'll leave you with this, and incredibly appreciative of your time being up early with us this morning. We talked earlier about John Sterling, his impact on baseball, on the city of New York, on broadcasters, and the way that people approach sports media the city, the air of the city, after losing John Sterling a couple days ago, his legacy, what does that name mean to New York?
Well, I think it means he's, the soundtrack to a lot of people's lives in a lot of ways, at least as far as their baseball fandom is concerned, their summers. And that's, this, if you follow baseball, like baseball's still, I think, out of the major sports, the one sport that's unique to being almost more celebrated on the radio. Right, because you take the radio anywhere you go in the summertime. You're out. Baseball's a summertime sport. It's nice weather, right? You're outside. You're at a cookout. You're at the park. You're at the beach. You're by the pool. You're doing, anything you can in the summer. You take the radio with you, and there's the baseball game. And that's why the radio play-by-play guy is so unique in terms of the relationship to the fans with the sport of baseball. But John was, and you've heard a lot of the tributes and stuff over the last few days. I didn't know him well. As a matter of fact, we hadn't talked in several years, but he was always a gentleman to me, and I was a huge fan of his work. And the thing you heard a lot of people say about John Sterling is that he was a, one of one. He was unique. He was a one of a kind in the way he did games. And I think that, as we all get into this business and, you hear from people that have come before you, they all tell you, be yourself, be authentic, be genuine. And nobody's going to say for a second that John Sterling wasn't that. And, it leaves a big void, certainly, in a lot of, Yankee fans and baseball fans, hearts when you think about baseball, because, he also had the great fortune of being behind the mic for, a dynasty in the late 90s, early 2000s with all those championships for the Yankees and so many historical moments in the history of baseball that he had an opportunity to call. And I think that if you're a broadcaster for any team, that's what you dream about. And so he had tremendous fortune in that sense, and he stepped up and delivered every single time, that's for sure.
That's incredible. What a eulogy to a legend of the game and a legend for us that are in sports media, again, that are in broadcast, and a guy who paved the way for a lot of people to be themselves. Dan, in this Knicks run, as the Yankees season continues, all things New York sports, how can listeners of this show follow you?
Well, absolutely. Check me out on the ESPN New York app. It's free. You get that anywhere if you're not in the New York area. We'll talk to you later today at 1 o'clock this afternoon on the air, talking a lot of Knicks and a little baseball too. So, Drake, always appreciate catching up with you, my friend.
Dan, appreciate the time. We'll talk to you soon. That New York Yankees nugget, that nugget about the legends of New York is one of the best answers this show has ever had. And it was free for you. Jalen Brunson has been the most consistent player in this postseason. And even when Jalen Brunson was not great last night, I thought he was good, but not great, was not at the top of his game, he still led the Knicks in scoring with 26 points. He still found a way to have a huge positive effect and impact on the game in a tight win against the Philadelphia 76ers on a night where the Knicks as a team did not play well, 19 points in the fourth quarter. Jalen Brunson, both offensively and defensively, was consistent. If the Knicks win the title this year, at that point, Jalen Brunson has to be recognized. And I understand. I would say, and you can disagree with this, but I think I'm right, that Jalen Brunson, that name, doesn't carry the same star power. He's a top 15 player, top 10 player in the NBA. But that name doesn't carry that star power. This guy who was a second-round draft pick, who a free agency pickup in New York, came from the Dallas Mavericks and was fine there, but never great. Just okay in Dallas. And now he goes to New York. He's started every game that he has played for the New York Knicks, averaged 20 or more points, 24 or more points in each of his seasons, and jumped on the scene as a star in the NBA. It is and it's not an apples to apples comparison, but the Sam Darnold. You struggle to see Sam Darnold as a star. Like, kids are buying his card. Kids want his football card. But it's the case. He's a star now, what he's created. Jalen Brunson, the same thing. It's hard to consider Jalen Brunson a star of the NBA right now, but he is. He's created that in New York. I mean, if he wins a championship, he's idolized and immortalized for the New York Knicks and New York sports fans all around. Coming up, let's take a look back at last night's game. We'll hear from Mike Brown. And, man, those Spurs look damn good thanks to Greg Popovich. He's returning. This is Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. This is the Drake Toll Show.
Patrick Mahomes.
Bomba-dee-da, 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 until we meet again. Happy bomba-dee-da, bomba-dee-da, keep smiling on till then. Who cares about the clouds when we're together? Just sing a song and think about sunny weather. 2, 3, happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling on till then. Some trails are happy ones, other trails are blue. It's the way you ride that counts. Here's a happy one for you. Happy trails to you till we meet And I remember there was a radio coming from the room next door. And my mother laughed the way some ladies do. When it's late in the evening and the music seeping through. The next thing I remember, I'm walking down the street. I'm feeling all right. I'm with my boys and with my troops, yeah. And down along the avenue, some guys were shooting pool, and I heard the sound of a cappella grooves, yeah. this funky bar and I stepped outside and smoked myself a J. And when I come back to the room, everybody just seemed to move, and I turned my amp up loud and I began to play. And it was late in the evening, and I blew that room away.
I got a sweet little body and she's rolling in the caddy with me.
It is the Drake Toll Show on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. 1999. The ghost is leaving. I believe it. Now, if you're a Knicks fan, you fully expect to Knicks yourself. You fully expect to at some point something breaks, something falls apart. At some point, the disappointment looms. Disappointment has been, by and large, what Knicks fans, what New York City sports fans have come to know. If you like the Mets, if you like the Yankees, the Knicks, if you're a big Nets guy, even Rangers, I'm the Giants, the Jets, you know pain. So New York, that's supposed to be this great sports city, in a moment like this, for me as an outsider, I look back to the ghost of 1999. 27 years you've been living on the fumes of 1 year. 27 years you've been living on the fumes of one season. But I think it's over. I think that ghost can be put behind you. I think that this is a Knicks team that is going to the NBA title. They've got it. They've got Jalen Brunson. And when it's not Jalen Brunson, it is Karl Anthony Towns. And if it is Jalen Brunson who wins a championship, who brings a title to New York, is he in the same air as a Derek Jeter? No. A Joe Namath? No. Can Jalen Brunson create a legend, a New York legend in himself? I'm looking at this Knicks team, and it's the way they've done it. It's the fact that we blow you out, we blow those guys out, and then in a tightly contested game where OG Anunoby leaves early, and not too early, but leaves early, where Cat's in foul trouble and only gets 27 minutes, where Jalen Brunson didn't play that well, where Josh Hart played 44 minutes this contest and scored just 5 points. On a night like that, for the Knicks to be able to win it in a different way, with really only Miles McBride getting substantial minutes off the bench, consistent minutes off the bench, on a night where you played 6 guys, effectively 6 guys, the Knicks found a different way to win. That's scary. Because if it's not Brunson, it's Bridges. If it's not Bridges, it's Towns. If it's not Cat, it's Anunoby. And if he's healthy, the New York Knicks are going to the Eastern Conference Finals, and the New York Knicks are going to the NBA title. Now, can they get past the Spurs? Can they get past the Thunder? I'm not ready to go there yet. But I am ready to believe that this is a Knicks team that can at least get you to the doorstep. Previously, we haven't gotten off the sidewalk. We haven't gotten into the driveway. Now the Knicks can get to the doorstep. Last night, postgame, Mike Brown, instead of giving you this weird, philosophical, we don't expect, we want to win, but we don't expect, we don't know we're going to win, maybe we'll win. Instead of just talking in circles and riddles, instead of coming to the podium and relishing in a win, he sounded like the best version of Mike Brown I've heard on a microphone for the New York Knicks. Here's what he had to say. In the face of winning a tightly contested game, his team has got to get better on limiting free throws.
And we did a better job. They were on track to get 40 free throws. And, we got to try to do something about it because they're killing us from the free throw line through the series. I know it's only 2 games, but they had 34 and 28 tonight. Let's see if I do my math right. That's 30. That's 62. 62, and we had 17 and 25. So that's 42, right? 42 to 62. So we, I don't know, we have to do something right. We have to, I have to do a better job addressing it. Hopefully, it can get evened out a little bit more throughout the course of the series. But it's tough to win a ball game if you're getting beat from the free throw line like that versus a really good team. So we got to look at every aspect of it, how we're helping on their drives, everything. But it's a big discrepancy.
That is a different Mike Brown. That's a locked in, not talking in circles. He's giving you, hey, here's the analysis of what has to change, what has to be better for the New York Knicks to win this series. You're up 2-0. You've got a commanding lead. But he's thinking about, and everybody is right now, fouls and how the game's officiated. Mike Brown is thinking about basketball. Tyrese Maxey. A tired Tyrese Maxey, a tired 76ers team, a Philly squad after going 7, a tough 7 rallying from down 3-1 against the Celtics, a Philly squad that just doesn't look 100%. Maxey says they've got to keep the series close. It's got to be a close series.
It's going to be like this for the rest of the series. Like I said, last game was tough. It was for sure tough. You know what I mean? Like, that was my first time in my career in the playoffs of playing the series and leaving that place and coming here and playing next day. It was really, really weird, really different. Like, all my years, I've always had time to, practice a couple times before we played the team. So we didn't even practice or anything, you know what I'm saying? But that's no excuse. I'm just putting that out there. But that's how the series is going to be. I don't expect anything less. However long the series is, I feel like every single game is going to be like it was tonight. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be extremely physical, extremely competitive, and it's going to come down to who makes plays at the end of the game.
I don't know if I don't think this Philly squad, Joel Embiid ruled out, Maxey is tight. Paul George is old. Kelly Oubre Jr. is there, I guess. I mean, it's every game. I think that I've mentioned how dangerous Philadelphia was against the Celtics because they can go to different options. VJ Edgecombe has become an option too. It's what makes them fun to watch. Kelly Oubre is not really one of those options. Philly is they did it. They won they got their Mona Lisa. They won the series against the Celtics in 7. That's going to do it. Pack it up. The New York Knicks are going to the Eastern Conference Finals. Addy Bates produces. Curtis Poindexter runs the board. The Drake Toll Show. It's time. Happy Thursday for Are You Smarter Than Drake Toll?
Alrighty, contestants. Curtis, are you ready?
I don't know, maybe.
Drake, are you ready?
I hate this game.
Curtis, what's the first category?
History.
Easy. Which country did Finland declare independence from in 1917?
Germany?
Curtis, what'd you say?
Great Britain.
Germany?
You're both wrong. It was Russia. Russia. All right, 0-0. Next category.
Music.
What cover song was Van Halen's first top 40 hit? Here's what it sounded like, by the way.
What's the title?
Curtis?
Yeah.
You really got me.
Drake, what do you think?
You really got me now?
Curtis is correct. 1 point, Curtis.
Science.
Underwater rainforest is another name for what marine ecosystem?
No clue.
A reef.
Yes, Drake got it. It's a coral reef.
Legal in Colorado. Show me reef.
Good answer. Curtis.
Stay off the weed.
What is it?
Random.
Joe Cool is an alter ego of which comic strip character?
Oh no, the only one I could think was Charlie Brown, but it's definitely not.
Is it the twink from the Garfield one?
It's Snoopy. Snoopy.
What? He's called what?
Joe Cool. You've never seen him when he has his sunglasses on like this?
I do now that you say it, yeah.
God, y'all are uneducated.
What would that have to do with Joe? I don't understand
Curtis-
where the Joe
Mama?
part comes from.
Movies.
No. Movies.
The film Saving Private Ryan takes place during which notable event of World War II?
Curtis is only familiar with Saving Ryan's Privates.
That's exactly what I was going to say
I was
too,
thinking
yeah.
that too. God, we're terrible. Curtis,
I don't know.
name an event from World War II. Please, Curtis.
Come on, Curtis.
Really can't think of anything.
My God.
Wow. You could have said Pearl Harbor, which is wrong, but at least it's an answer. It's Normandy, D-Day.
So we're actually tied. I'm going to give Curtis the point for saying Charlie Brown. So I guess we're ending this in a tie unless we want to do a tiebreaker.
I don't have any more little
a
sound
tiebreaker,
things,
of
so you have
course.
to tell me what it is.
That's okay. Alrighty. In the nursery rhyme, The Cat and the Fiddle, what runs away with the spoon?
Ball game. It's over. It's wraps. It's done. Take a seat, Curtis. Sit down.
Why are you sitting?
It's the damn dish. Welcome to the show.
Holy crap! What the?
Yeah, Curtis. Now what? The dish ran away with the spoon. Yeah, now what? Huh?
Drake wins?
You're an expert at child nursery rhymes. Good job.
This is my first win in like 4 weeks. Curtis Poindexter runs the board. Addie Bates produces. When we see you tomorrow, we're going to break down all the games in the NBA and the NHL tonight. I love you. I'm going to go have a beer. This has been It Always Will Be. Ryan McGuire, Colin Jones, Armin Williams, and Bruce Gilbert. Thanks for a job. Westwood One Sports and the Drake Toll Show.